Almost 2,000 years ago, a group of people in feudal Japan found themselves pushed further and further away from the mainstream of society as they refused to give up their spiritual beliefs to the imposed conformity of the ruling class. The ruling power made it illegal for common people to carry or own the deadliest weapon of the time, a finely edged sword. So these people had to learn to defend themselves in different ways, to walk the path of their own chosen desire, and to blend in so as not to attract attention. They learned survival skills so unsurpassed that the name ninja became feared by all who heard it. But the primary concern, then as now, was to live and to let live in peace and harmony so that all mankind can reach their own levels of heightened enlightenment. This Black Belt Home Study course is designed to set you on the path. Nenpo will give you the power to overcome life's obstacles by coming out on top. And the skills you will learn in this series will give you the flexibility to roll with life's everyday punches, the courage to climb above life's obstacles. Only your own discipline and perseverance can carry you through to the finish. Your goal of receiving a black belt and all that it stands for. And view life from a different perspective from that uncluttered height. And what the insights that you've gained will help you to slice through all the things that are holding you back from being all that you can be. You may find that instead of being caught up in fights that don't concern you, you can just hang out and observe. Unless, of course, you need to take action, and then who knows? You may be so dazzling they don't even know what hit them. We will study from the traditional schools of Kumagakureru, Kotoru, Tagakureru, Gyokushinru, Gikanru, Gyokuru, Tagagi-Yoshinru, Shinden Fururu, Kuki Shinden Rus of Grandmaster Masaaki Hatsumi of the Bujinkan system. I am proud to present this Black Belt Home Study course. In this last tape of the 10-tape series of the American Bujinkan Dojo's Black Belt Home Study course, you're now about to learn the last techniques of the Shodan, or the level of black, first degree level black belt in our ninjutsu system. At the level of Shodan, you'll note that there are many things that you need to learn to do to be able to utilize each and every technique that you've learned so far to this point. It becomes a lot of fun once you've learned to master the basic techniques and aspects of rolling and falling and the kemi and balancing of your body, your mind, and your spirit. As we progress, we'll be looking at different things of how to utilize counters and reversals to the techniques that we've learned, how to use these techniques against not just one attacker, but maybe many attackers. You never know what life may have to offer. There's really no different in handling more attackers than just one attack, as you'll see. By the time that a person reaches the Shodan level, they should be able to know the different Japanese names and know them technique by technique and be able to teach them with proficiency. Because you're moving into a level of being able to be a teacher or a junior teacher in this art. That really depends on you as a person and your desire and ability to share this with other people. You'll be graded as a teacher level on a separate thing from that of the Shodan. At the very end of this tape, we'll teach you how you can become American Bujinkan Dojo Black Belt if you have studied this just as a home study course. But now that I want you to progress on and pay attention to the different aspects of how you can move your body. At the level of Shodan, you need to be able to handle not just one attacker, maybe two, maybe three. But handling more than one attacker is just like handling more than one fist, punch, or kick. You only can deal with one piece at a time. But it does make your awareness have to be a little bit sharper, your sensitivity is a little bit greater, and also that you need to be inside your own body paying attention on the outside. It's a time for no thinking. It's a time just for being able to practice and to do all the things that you have learned until this moment, because that's what's going to save you. You do not have time to think about what movement that you're going to be doing. And any kind of real life situation will probably all be over before you have any kind of thought about what you're going to do or what's going to happen. It needs to be totally natural with all of yourself, all of your body, utilizing everything that you know. So In a multiple attacker situation, sometimes the best thing about a fight is just not being there. If they're coming, I would first want to take maybe one person and move them into the other person. Grab a hold of the second person, turn, move, taking them down. Once more, done slowly, so you can actually see them coming in. I may move one person into the other person, collapsing, taking them down on each other. In dealing with multiple attackers coming on each side of you this way, that I want to be able to look straight forward and watch them out of the peripheral so I can see both of them. This is great practice and training as I just watch his hand come up. So I can see what's going to happen and who's going to move first. I also, if I move back just a little bit here, that also gives me more range and makes them change the direction in which they're coming at me. If they're coming at me here, I only need to deal with one thing at a time. They're going to get in each other's way, and I'm going to help them. So if they're coming with any kind of attack, it really doesn't matter what it is, but I can make things happen with each other. I can utilize their arms, tangling them up. So that actually, their weapons actually become a problem to them instead of an asset. Punching him in the head, taking both of them down. Holding, hooking, doing what I need to do. If both of them are coming and attacking from the front on the same side, it's the same thing. They're both punching at the same time. I can catch both of these punches, taking them down on top of each other, finishing if necessary. I want to work on getting them in their own way. If they come here, I also can go floating down, taking control. This is if I don't want to hurt or injure them. Be reaching, grabbing, it doesn't matter what they're doing. I can hit one, hit the other. Take one, take both of them. There's no real difference that if I just had one person attacking me and they're throwing one punch and then they're throwing another punch. Now if the other person is coming, can run that in, getting both of their bodies to work on both of them. It's no different if I'm having one person attack, here's one punch, and they're punching again with another punch, dealing with each punch, than it is if I have two attackers come where one punches, and then the other one's coming, they're punching. I'm just dealing with one at a time. And it's very easy putting their bodies together to take them down. I can kick and get both people at the same time. Maybe if I'm not aware that there's actually an attacker behind me, it comes up and grabs, and these other people start punching and attacking, that I may need to move and turn so I can finish off all of them and then safely run and get away. If I may do this, other ways, there are many ways out of this, but I can easily take one arm, one wrist, turning the wrists, trapping legs behind me, stepping, grabbing, shaking, punching, and finishing off my attackers. Okay. I could step over, taking one leg and the person off balance as my hand comes up to rotate behind, pulling this person down, turning that person, throwing them together. Okay? You can also step behind this person, throwing this person in together now, starting to hold. Bam, bam. Of course, the game gets stepped up just a little bit when my attackers have knives, and especially if they have intent in harming me. But we're going to keep this slow a little bit so people don't get hurt. I'm going to watch for the first person to move, but I may take and step myself in a different position that now forces, if they are attacking, that I can actually have one person cut as I'm blocking, disarming, taking all the knives away. So I ended up with all 3 blades. I want to get myself where I'm not in the middle. So I have to maybe move my body so that I'm not where they're attacking. So they have to shift. So as they shift, I can take one to trap the other. If I need to, I could finish off my attacker and escape. I'm here. This person comes around here, cut into this blade, cut it up underneath, coming down. Now we're in. I'm standing here and someone's caught me from behind. Okay, boom, nice come here. This comes around. Okay, cut.
You're painful.
Lunch break.
As you start progressing towards attaining your black belt, one of the things you're going to want to work on is being able to move from technique to technique and possibly working against certain counters that an opponent may do on the techniques that you're trying to perform against them. One of the things you may want to work on with an opponent is moving in and out of the different kihon, from one kihon to another. And this will progress to being able to counter the different types of counters that an opponent may be doing on you. So if I have a partner, let's just say my partner grabs me here, and I start to perform Orogyaku. Possibly maybe he's pulling back and resisting my technique. Well, I can turn this over and go into a Motegyaku. Things of this sort. Maybe I'm doing Ganseki Nage, and he's really on balance and tough and solid. He's reversing this around and going into Mushidori. Maybe he gets his balance back again and got to reverse into Orogyaku once again. Things like this, moving from a Motegyaku, coming around. Ganseki Nage. Ganseki Yoshi, rather. Falling back. Cut. Falling back. Maybe starting with Onikidaki. Switching into Mushidori. Switching around once again. Maybe starting off with Onikidaki here. Switching into Mushidori. Coming around. Orogyaku. Switching over. Omotegyaku. Around the body. Ganseki Nage. A double hand grab. Starting off with Mushidori. Maybe he's too solid, too strong. Switching over. Ganseki Otoshi. Single hand grab. Starting off with Motegyaku. He's too strong, he resists, he pulls back. Switching into Motegyaku. He recovers his balance maybe. Switching into Mushidori. Switching to the other side with Ganseki Nage. Starting the setup, but not doing the technique. Maybe coming around. Mushidori once again. Reaching over the other hand. Orogyaku. Motegyaku. Onikidaki. Working on a drill like this teaches you the different types of progressions that you can get from technique to technique. In higher levels, you want to actually have an opponent who's resisting or trying to counter your techniques. But at a basic level, just working, feeling out where you can go from which technique. Maybe adding some punches in there. Well, He comes in to punch, blocking, mushidori, striking here as you come across with ganseki nage, switching in mushidori once again, punching again, switching your hand over, strike as you do urigyaku. Maybe he comes in from a punch, striking here, switching around for ganseki nage, coming down. I guess I must like this, punching him here as you do mushidori. Urigyaku. Mushidori. Adding in punches and other techniques as you do these. So you want to be able to move from technique to technique, just so you get an idea of what a real fight might be like, because none of these are going to be able to be executed cleanly. It's going to be really messy. So what you're going to want to do is do something like this to get a feel of what it's like to work in progressions of techniques.
I'm sure that by now in your training, there have been many times when you've been grabbed or thrown that you're thinking, how am I going to get out of this technique? My body balance has been broke. I'm in this, trapped in this position. How do I defend myself against some of these techniques? I'm going to begin to give you a few ideas that you can begin to practice to be able to look at the concept and ideas about learning different ways out of or reversing particular moves that people do. One of the strongest is breaking the opponent's balance after they've started to break your balance. As he starts this technique, then all I'm doing is shifting, breaking his balance. Then I can go on to move into some other aspect, taking complete control of the situation. Once more, as this is going, I can just step with this. So it's taking the position of his hands, so it's not as effective. I can continue to move just with my own body, moving him back into a state easily off balance in it. This goes the same whether if a person we're doing mushidori and he takes and begins to move on me. As he's coming up, I can move if I move soon enough. If my training partner begins, so let's say mushidori, fall back taking me off balance, I can even shift right here, taking his body balance, holding on to his arm, taking him down. Once more, other aspects out of mushidori is that I just go with him. He's taking and pulling my body off balance, and I'm just continuing with my body to take him off balance. It's actually my leg into his leg here that actually supplies the total breaking of his balance. Also, as let's say that he steps back and pulls back in mushidori. He starts to come up to do this technique here. I can flow with him to take him down. Once more, as he goes here, as he comes, I'm just continuing. I could hold on to his arm if necessary. Begins like from ganseki nage. Flows here. Steps in to do this with my leg into his. It's easy to take his body off balance. Flows back here. He steps in. If I hit this leg right here, very easy taking it off balance. Another form of ganseki, as he slides here, I also can take his body by breaking it another way. From a urigyaku technique, a couple ideas. As this comes back here, I just want to continue over my hand. This time done slow, as it starts to turn, I just turn his hand. I can hold on to this thumb, do a throw of my own. Once more slowly. As this turns, it's turning over, I can just turn over and move my body into his body. Continuing for a throw. Once more. Right away. This, of course, is going to happen quick, but I can just punch right into his own face. But the secret is actually taking his body off balance. He started this, I'm just continuing it. I could roll over and do ones of my own. Once more on Urugyaku. As this comes here, I can rotate my thumb in his chest. Here. Then I can just reach over and do one of my own. It's me. So this attack starts to happen. I can also just pull down, breaking the body balance. The point here is that you want to work on concepts of two things. One, of first escaping. The other is of breaking the body balance and combinations thereof. A drill that I created to be able to practice these concepts and ideas on is a little off-balance game. You do this first not by escaping, but by playing the balance game of when I first maybe hold on, he falls back, taking me off balance. It's my turn now to do something to take him off balance. It can be anything at all. It's such as stepping here, takes his balance, changes it. So it's his turn to take and off balance me, which maybe I would use my knee to off balance him. As he goes to counter this balance, here I may go to counter this balance here. So in doing this very, very slowly, this is a feeling thing. This is capturing the feelings between the two people. So that maybe first I'm going to push out here. He's going to turn as if he's going to throw me. I can take and just move my knee in to shift his body down. It's his turn now to figure out some way to kind of take me off balance. He's going to shift back to take my leg off balance. And doing that though, I'll reach across the back of his knee and pull, taking him down and off balance. Doing this again very slowly. I want to slide my leg in here, maybe taking him off balance. He pulls me down off balance, having his knee inside here. I can take and just shift my knee straight, pulling his gi back. Makes it difficult for him. Falls down, taking me down. But my off balance is going to create some kind of ending piece. As you can see, this is done in a freestyle, free-form motion of learning to play and to work with your partner. These are really some fun drills. One of the weapons for Shodan is firearms. Primarily what I want people to do is become familiar with firearms. I want you to become familiar with styles of shooting, just so that you know how to use your body in a natural way in case you ever choose to use a firearm. I also want you to be aware of firearms because they're pretty prevalent in today's society. Basically, what I want to show you is a couple approaches for disarming firearms. I do not suggest that just because you've trained a little while in any kind of martial art that you should feel confident enough to be able to try to take a gun away. This is to give you a few ideas to be able, if you're caught in that situation, you choose to try to take a gun away, that you know some approaches in doing so. This is not a recommendation to try to think to take away a gun from that somebody has on you. Always check to make sure that, always make sure to check that there are no bullets in any gun at all before you use them in any kind of situation. Currently right now we're using a BB and a pellet gun, just making sure that there's nothing in the chambers even after I have checked this weapon thoroughly. A couple of approaches. If a person has a gun in front of you, it will all really depend on their intent. If you notice that the line of fire is straight into me, even if it's into my body, that if I have to move, it's the same center line. That I don't want to move this way because it keeps this half of my body in the line of fire the whole time. But if I take and I turn this to the side, then I'm moving the mass out of my body out of the way. So that if I even get hit, it'll be a clip instead of going through parts of my body by just moving to the side this way. So the first move that I would want to do is move all of myself. Some people have a habit of leaving this other arm out, which they're going to get shot right through the arm. If you're going to move on this, that you need to move the weapon away. It will really be determined, your disarms, on whether this weapon has a recoil type action, such as 9mm and some 45s. Because if you grab a hold of this, this is going to slide and cock back and rip your hand off, and the person's going to shift their body and end up shooting you. So you have to be very aware of those kind of things. Instead, placing your hand at the base of the arm here so that the recoil will miss your fingers, coming up underneath the gun in this fashion, turning away. And continuing with this move, taking the gun, stripping the gun out. Could come back, blow against the head itself. So once more, they may say, get your hands up. That's a perfect opportunity because he's expecting my hands to rise. If he expects my hands to rise, can be a time I can just turn and move in here. I can take and do my other moves, as you've been learning already, taking the gun out. The gun in the back is the same similar situation. Again, I just need to turn my body. Now this will really make a difference if it's in the middle of my back or if it's at one side or the other side. If it's on the side of my body, I would have to turn the opposite way because I wouldn't want to turn this way because I'm turning the whole mass of my body to where this projectile is going to go through it. So if we move it to this side to show you that I want to wait maybe till I feel this little push. If a person says push, I want to go with the push. I can turn back around, taking down on this arm, and then finish off my attacker. Once more, I would just turn. Being very careful. Once more, as I feel this push, it's just natural for me to move. Making sure this weapon doesn't come back at me or pointing at anybody else. If I can keep the weapon pointing up, I know that's not going to hurt or damage anybody else as a bystander. One of the problems with a lot of gun disarms is people are that if I'm going to be using this weapon, I use it the same way as I would take and I would reach out and point, or reach out and do a ski. It's the same thing that I would do with a gun. Even when you're treating a gun that is not loaded, you want to treat it and act as if it is loaded at all times. Ultimate safety, because accidents can and do occur too often. The basic ideas of learning about a gun at its Shodan or beginning Shodan level is to create familiarity with the weapon. This is a projectile. It projects things out of it at a very fast pace and does major damage. They're utilized all over the world. It's very, very important to at least know and understand how they work in case you're in a situation where one is used against you. Basic ideas of shooting is that I want to be able to come straight, just natural, just as if I'm going to be naturally using my taijutsu. Just aiming same way as if I'm going to naturally be just pointing my finger at a target. Showing my finger on the gun, it's the same way. I'm just pointing. Whatever I point at, that's where the bullet's going to go at. You can learn to be very, very, very accurate in just in a natural shooting, natural position. Shooting at all different levels, different targets, naturally moving, naturally shooting. So if you're here, very easy, same as an ichimonji. Always making sure that you're not pointing your weapon at you. Same as if you're in an upper position, learning to be able to shoot naturally from any posture. You're here, naturally being able to move. No matter what your position, does not take two hands. I mean, it can be just get the feel of the weapon so it becomes as natural as the rest of any other taijutsu that you do. So that even if you're, same thing with your rolling skills, you have to make sure that your weapon's pointed away from yourself and is not shooting or attacking anyone else. So that as I move to the ground, I'm still watching my opponent at all times, no matter where my roll, no matter what my positioning needs to be. Natural. Those are some aspects of learning to use a shooting arm. Besides being very efficient on all the things that you have learned until this time, knowing all of the different techniques by name in Japanese, and be able to teach them effectively to obtain your Shodan. One of the most important things in the test that I also grade for is your ability to handle a knife-wielding attacker. Doesn't mean that you have to be 100% prominent to where you never ever get cut. But I do want you to see you take away a knife and at least once or twice from somebody that's pretty proficient at coming at you with a blade. And usually that happens to be, well, you may be able to guess, especially when you get by some of the other instructors. But this is fun. I'd like to show you a few ways of looking at ways of taking away blades. Notice as a knife comes at me, that basically is coming right into my midsection. But there's actually, it would like split me in half in a sense. I really only have to move half of me, not all of me. Some people's tendency is that they have to move all their body, which allows the other person to slash across. So on a knife attack, as this knife comes in, notice it's coming in right into my center. Primarily, usually when most people make cuts, it's into the center themselves. I really only need to move half of me instead of all of me. What I mean by that, here comes the attack is coming in. I only have to move one half. I either have to move this half or I have to move this half out of the way. The tendency for most people is to move all of themselves, which allows this other person to cut back through the body. One of the things in moving my body into this position, it puts myself between the weapon and my attacker, which allows me many different aspects, those of being able to disarm the blade, being able to attack the person that's attacking me, to effectively take them to the ground and still have the weapon itself without getting cut. The beginning drill to practice first is just having your hands up and just turning. Having the person practice coming straight to the middle. And yes, they may get pretty close. That's okay. This is just a beginning concept, a beginning idea. I can learn to put my hand right on top of their hand. A couple of the very first things that you want to look at, if at all possible, when an attacker is coming with a knife, is to find out how long the blade is. This is going to tell you some of the lengths of his ability to reach. Even though you're going to want to move inside that, it's a good idea to look and notice how long the blade is. You also want to notice if it has one edge or it has two edges. Some blades have a double edge, an edge on the bottom and an edge on the top. This will make a difference in your disarming. You also want to notice if the blade is down or if the blade has been turned up. There are many, many types of disarms. It is possible to grab a hold of this blade and take it and twist it out. A blade primarily cuts with a back and forth motion versus a straight, flat motion. This is a very, very dangerous way to disarm. That may be your only option in the middle of a fight. I'm not suggesting that you take it, but I just want you to be aware of it. In case you find your hand on a blade, do not move it. If their flow moves, you need to go with it, and you will not get cut, even if it's a razor-sharp blade. This is very, very difficult, but it still may save your life. I tell you about this because this is a tendency for a lot of beginners to do. If it only has a single edge, it's very easy taking the blade out. By having your hand on top, you can't put your fingers right on the edge of the blade, so that you're not on the blade itself, but on the edge of the blade so that it can twist out of the hand. You can also, by rotating the person's hand over, you can cause pressure on the wrist as a double action. One goes down and the other goes up. Turning over, releasing. This hand can come in here against the flat of the blade, even if it's a double edge, against the flat of the blade, and push until it comes out into the hand. Once more, it's just here, the flat of the blade. If necessary, you could cut, or you could use the back of the blade for grappling techniques. Also, you can take and get just the finger itself peeling back, using the side of the blade itself on the finger to take control of your opponent. Coming down also takes the blade out very, very safely. Shown from actual attacks, that as this comes, placing one hand on top. The other hand can come right underneath, turning, twisting, taking the blade out. Once more, as this comes, coming on top, moving my body out of the way, I can come underneath, taking this, taking the blade back out. Move back into other moves to take this person down without doing any cuts or damage to the other person. Of course, you can do things that you've learned for a long time, such as the mote gyaku. Once more, hand on top first, reaching up underneath, turning, down. Always taking the blade out. Always make sure you get in a habit of having this blade. It's very, very important. Handing back. Taking the wrist down to take the blade out. So you have to come in, okay? Coming in and moving to the side. Could be hitting. Immediately having the blade up. Taking the blade back down. Using the ground itself to take this out. Once more, with my body, going back coming down, close-up of hand release. The attack comes into my body. I'm moving out of the way. I'm having my hand in this position so as this attack comes, if he wants to change, I'm sliding along his arm. I can effect here, taking up, coming down with the wrist, straight down to the ground. See in the close-up, I use the weight of my body on his hand to make sure that I get a disarm. Some other ideas is moving my body off at another angle. Once more, coming in here, moving my body away, taking the blade out. Catching here, turning it back, taking down, blade coming out. Gotta keep the energy in it. Sorry, sir. Okay. From a sloshing type cut, this is not where I want to be. I can learn to move this up and over to where I can turn, take the blade away. I can take and move this down to other positions to take the blade away. I can take it down as I take him down to take the blade away. Practice this way, these disarms will become pretty simple in nature. Turning against the joints, turning them over, taking the blade away. Overhead type stab. Remembering not that I don't want to be there. At this point, I can just continue this. Taking behind, stripping the knife away. Once more, I can help this around. I have the blade. It's easy to take the blade away. Here. Taking the blade. Maybe a cut from across, slashing across my body this way. We just did that. Slash the other way. Yeah. Slash this way across my body. Again, let's move in here. Oh, missed that one. Sweaty. Cut from the other side. Holding on tight. Takes the blade away. Once more. This is coming. Stepping in here. Could be hitting. I'm keeping my arm in tight. Sliding here. Locking my arm to the side of my body very tight. Actually disarms at the handle. Once more. Catching here, right at the handle. Taking the blade away. Woo! Always moving, always flowing. There are endless variations and possibilities of these things. These give you some ideas and some concepts of disarming knife attacks. Good luck. This Shodan level tape is the last level of the American Bujinkan Dojo's Black Belt Home Study course on ninjutsu. The ranking system created by myself, Shihan Richard Van Donk, under the direction and guidance of Dr. Masaki Hatsumi, the Grand Master of Ninjutsu and the Ninpo systems in Noda City, Japan.
It's up to you to live your life to the fullest, to grasp every moment, because your life can be empowering. You can have ultimate self-confidence. Feel the self-respect inside. Have your esteem be high. And let your life be one of purpose, one that creates and manifests a life that's truly worth living. Because it is up to you. You've been given some tools to begin to learn to empower your life. Begin by enhancing these things in reading books, listening to audio cassette tapes, going to classes and seminars that help you to empower your life in every kind of form. This is the only life that you've got right now. So shouldn't you live it in a way that brings you love and joy and harmony and peace and lots of fun? I think so. I really think that that's a rewarding life is the only one that's worth living. The Ninpo aspects of this art are actually the most important. We learn to have flexibility and be in who and what we are by learning to have flexibility in the way that we handle an attack or any kind of adversity in our life. I highly encourage you to reach for the stars and pull them in and to create the dreams that you've always desired. And hopefully that your black belt is one of those dreams. Study this course well, and I hope that someday that we're able to meet face to face so that we can give you a test that you pass so we can proudly put that black belt on you and to become a member of the Black Belt Club of the American Bujinkan Dojo Ninjutsu.